government statistician Professor Annim is advising policymakers to focus attention on key sectors that can contribute to the country's economic growth but failing to perform. According to him, this is very critical in order to measure the level of success the country is achieving as a result of the policy measures being introduced. Speaking to journalists after the release of the annual growth rate for the year 2022, Professor Annim said more attention must be given to subsectors in manufacturing and services that recorded no growth.
What I'm not too sure about is whether the government is putting in policies in agriculture with a mindset that I want agriculture to contribute more to industry or to contribute more to services. The policy document would have targets, and the key question is whether we are meeting our target. We always need to be careful about the shares. The shares are simply saying that put all the three together and see which of the three is contributing more. It doesn't mean that the least of the three is not performing, and it doesn't mean that the least is not reaching government targets. So let's put that in context. What is worrying is that within the industry sector, we've identified 6 subsectors, and within manufacturing sector alone, we can identify a lot more subsectors. And as you clearly saw from the presentation, within the industry sector, we see some of them expanding. Gold, for instance, is expanding, and the other subsectors within industry, of which manufacturing is a broad component, is also are contracting. If you look within manufacturing, which you're going to find about another 22 subsectors within manufacturing only, you're going to see some of the manufacturing subsectors expanding and others contracting. That is why we always say that let's pay attention to the disaggregates rather than the aggregates. So the industry players should focus on the 22 subsectors within manufacturing or the 6 subsectors within the industry, look at government policy and say whether we are meeting government policy or otherwise.
Well, data from the Ghana Statistical Services shows industry barely contributed 1% to economic growth in 2022 behind services and the agri sectors. Joining me to discuss is Mark Bedu-Abuaje, who is Chief Executive of the Ghana National Chamber of Commerce and Industry. Good afternoon to you, sir. So this is not an impressive performance from industry, and it was expected, wasn't it? You're muted.
Yeah, can you hear me now?
I can, loud and clear.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you.
Okay. Thanks once again. I said, even though it's a worrying phenomenon, it was actually to be expected, looking at the challenges that businesses went through in 2022. Of course, the cost of doing business plays a very critical role in determining how well that sector performs. And you realize that the cost of doing business went up significantly in 2022. If you look at data from the Ghana Statistical Service, the industrial inflation, the industrial producer price inflation went up as high as 94.3% in November 2022. And this definitely means that businesses are paying more just to produce the list that they were producing. All the factors contributed negatively towards this group, and I'm not surprised that within the industrial sector, all the other sectors contracted with the exception of the mining, the inquiry with the manufacturing sector contracting by 2%. I mean, a number of factors could be attributed to this. For instance, if you take the depreciation of the cedi, for instance, it affected those who were importing raw materials for manufacturing. It means they couldn't get more cedi to import or dollar to import, so that they'll have to downsize and reduce their production level. The cost of electricity and water also plays a very critical role when it comes to manufacturing, and you realize that it also went up. So the businesses now have to react to cost and its impact their production. And of course, if you look at the interest rate, which also plays a very critical role, policy rate went up, and of course the interest rate was ranging around 35 to 45%. If you look at Bank of Ghana's data on the loans to the private sector, you realize that the real loans or credit to the private sector went down significantly, which means that businesses were not even able to borrow, to reinvest into their businesses. And of course, looking at what the country went through, the downgrading, those who would have in any way would have invested, external invested in the local industry, were also sitting on the fence looking at what will happen. So all these things, and additionally, of course, whenever you are producing, you are looking that people will buy that product. 2022, because of inflation as high as over the 50s, the purchasing power of a lot of Ghanaians went down. So people were not demanding, people were not buying. And so if the people were not demanding, there was no need for any businesses to produce because the thing will be in the market. As people buy, demand goes up. You are stimulated to produce more for people to buy. So demand also actually went down. And then also export. You were exporting some of these manufactured goods to other countries. Our cost of production went up and became very uncompetitive. So we send the goods to the other countries and the demand was not there. So export also went down significantly. Putting all these things together, obviously you expect that the contribution or the growth of the industry sector will go down as compared to agric, which grew by I think 4.2%, and the services 5.5%. Industry did not actually perform well. But it's a very big concern, and all of us should be worried because the industry sector should be the main driver for economy. We are seeking to change the structure of economy from an import-led to an export-led. You can only export more when you manufacture. You add value to your raw materials, which means that our so-called changing the structure of the economy has not really yielded any positive results. If industry and the manufacturing sector is contracting, that if you want to resolve the issue with unemployment, we should focus our policies on growing the manufacturing sector. The manufacturing sector has a long value chain from those who are, producing the raw materials up to those who are manufacturing and those who are selling the product. Long value chain. So within the value chain, there are a lot of nodes that can employ a lot of people. So anytime the manufacturing sector is going down, we should expect that unemployment will also go down. Of course, the mining and quarrying went up, but these are enclave industries that usually employ specific people with specific skills. So usually you won't see a lot of people being employed in those sectors, but the manufacturing sector employs so many people. So we should be concerned and our policies should be directed towards empowering the manufacturing sector.
Well, speak of policies, I mean, the government touts its industrialization agenda, but I'm wondering, is there a clear-cut policy for growing industry that we know of?
Well, I think we have had industrial policies. Our challenge has been the implementation of these policies, and not that we don't have them. If you look at the Ghana Private Sector Development Strategy 1 and 2, my brother, go and check. Or if you are able to even implement just 30% to 50% of what is in that document, we're moving our industry sector to.
But why is it difficult to implement?
The one district, one factory. That is my challenge. That's what we are all talking about. We should move from being a political document to a document that is developmental in nature. If you look at all their manifestos, they have policies for industry. Go and check the level of implementation of this policy. It becomes too political. Let's do what we have written. If other countries come, they pick our policies, they go and implement, and they're able to grow. And we are here, we develop very good policies, and we don't implement them. This is the reason why they should engage the players in the private sector more, so that we will be able to advise and also offer some level of recommendations on how they can implement some of these policies. And of course, we've made our point clear when it comes to this taxation. If you don't change what we are doing in our policies towards the private sector and the manufacturing sector, we are likely to see a further contraction of that sector.
And
this
makes me wonder,
also not help.
Because there's plenty talk about the high cost of doing business, and with the introduction of these new tax measures, it's going to get more expensive. So then you wonder, where's the commitment to growing industries?
Yes, of course. I think we have made our point clear that these taxes are counterproductive. And for me, I'm worried because you don't introduce two counterproductive taxes at the same time. The growth and sustainability levy is counterproductive, it's inimical, it's not going to help businesses. And then also the excise duty is also not going to help. this will further increase the cost of production. Nothing has really changed if you look at from last year, the macroeconomic variables. Even though we have seen some level of improvement regarding inflation, the cedi is still very weak. The utility prices are still there. And all these challenges are feeding into...
Your lights just went off. Mark Bedu Abuaje, I think is frozen there. Probably his lights are off. But speaking on industry and its performance based on the 2022 GDP estimates released by the Ghana Statistical Service. And while